My next guest is a very talented singer and songwriter who just dropped a brand new EP called Searching for Nirvana. It is Royal and the Serpent. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. How are you?
I'm very good. I love how you have your cup of Joe and you are ready for the day.
I'm ready for the day. Just woke up and I'm stoked to be here.
I like how the basic artist lifestyle hasn't changed much in terms of whatever time of day it is. You just roll out of bed and start getting to work.
I really recently started owning it. I used to feel really guilty waking up past like 9 or 10 a.m. And now I'm like, yeah, 11 noon, rock and roll.
Does this mean that you're a night owl? Do you normally get more creative and do most of your work at like 2, 3 in the morning?
My brain starts going at like 2 a.m. And then like by 4, I'm like, I'm ready to go.
You're in your
Um,
zone.
But classically, my sessions are all during the day. So I'm like, by the end of this session, I'm like, okay, let's write another song.
Before we move along, I'm very curious because you are Royal and the Serpent, and the duality is very interesting to me. So, throughout this whole time, have you kind of regressed from the Serpent personality and become a little more royal because you don't have a lot of exterior forces coming at you and things? Or what's that balance?
I wish I could say that, but I feel like the serpent has reared its ugly head over quarantine. No, I think it's always for me about finding the balance between the two pieces of my personality, I guess, or for any of us, sort of like the positive and the negative. We gotta like, I don't know, they go together. One without the other doesn't really exist. But I think even just in the music that I've been making, it's been really fun to sort of play up both of those sides and make really soft, sweet, cute music and really hard, kind of freaky, intense screamo stuff and like just dive deeply into both sides. Has been really nice because it I don't know, eliminates boundaries, I guess.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's great from an artistic point of view, and it helps to give a little, I don't know, not just inspiration, but just also giving you the space to be creative in things. How do you balance that with your personal life and how you deal with everyday life? And I think the comparison could be made as passion and restraint,
I love that.
right?
Yeah. It's funny because I think my personal life and my work life sort of are one because I feel like I'm always kind of working and all of my personal relationships are in my work life. So I don't know. I was having an interesting conversation with a friend recently about separating Ryan, myself, from Royal and the Serpent and sort of taking a step back because it is important, I think, to do that as an artist, to not get so wrapped up in your artist project that you can get lost in it sometimes, you know? Um, so I think just taking time for yourself in general is super important and taking time to be alone, be with your thoughts, be in a meditative space, take that self-care time is really important.
You created this EP that is very representative of a lot of people's journeys in terms of discovering oneself and your identity and accepting yourself for who you are and all these things. When did that discovery take place for you?
You want to know something funny? It didn't really hit me and I wasn't really being in full acceptance of myself until after the project came out. The few months leading up to it were kind of dark for me and I was having a really hard time accepting who I was. I was really nervous to put the project out. I second guessed myself. I almost pulled the plug like a few times because I was so um against my own self and something about putting it out into the world and releasing it and sort of like shedding all of that baggage helped turn everything around for me and see everything in a different light. And I think people liking it and listening to it and resonating with it made the whole experience worth it and just gave me a totally different lens on myself and the music. And I feel so much lighter now that it's out and so much more confident and just empowered.
Why was it such a struggle? Because we're here in 2021.
Mhm.
There are a lot of barriers that have been broken. We have a lot of people, famous people, people we know personally that have expressed their true identity, the way they want to live their lives, their orientation, whatever it may be. We just had an NFL player finally come out for the first time recently. Um, so why or what were the struggles that you were having?
I think mentally, it's easy to be our own worst enemy, and I think sometimes it's beyond our control how deep something like depression can really affect us. And I think what I learned is that I am not my depression, and that it's not my fault, and it's not necessarily something that I bring on myself or something that's that easy to fix and to change. And I think it was my brain playing tricks on me. It wasn't even about the message that I was self-conscious about too. It was about the sonics of the project. I was feeling really insecure in my artistry and how it sounded more so than even I think the message is what ultimately led me to putting it out anyway, because I knew how important what I had to say was for people to hear. Um, but I think I just got really in my own way and afraid of not being accepted for who I was musically. And
That's
then I
so
realized that we just have to be ourselves, you know? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
no. I was just going to say that's so interesting because music is the outlet for artists, at least from what many have said, and it allows them to express themselves in ways they can't verbally communicate. And so to hear you say it was the other way around is very interesting. Did you feel like there was a little pressure after overwhelmed and the higher profile?
I mean, yeah, of course. I think uh, people maybe were expecting, I don't know, I guess people don't really expect anything. I think I just have been evolving so much too in the stuff that I've been making that I started not being able to see things for what they really are. I think sometimes you can just get too close to something too, that it's like you can't see the big picture because it's right here in front of your face, and you just have to take a step back to really be able to see it for all that it is.
Was there a song on this EP that was difficult, but has turned out so well for you that is like, wow, not a masterpiece, but you know what I mean? Like, it's like, we did
Mm.
it. Man, did we do it?
You know, I think F You is probably that song because the original production leaned a lot more into sort of like a pop space. It sort of had like this Taylor Swift essence to it. It was not pop punk at all. And I'll never forget when I decided I wanted to take it in a pop punk direction. Everybody on my team was not happy with me. Even Marky, the producer, was like, I don't want to do this. This doesn't sound good. And I like forced everybody into it. I like made my drummer track drums and I was like, trust me, guys, this is gonna be awesome. Because it was kind of before like all this pop punk music started coming out. Um, and I'm so glad that we went in that direction because I think it really fits with the sonics of the song. And I think it came out after all of that. We've had so many versions of that song. But after all said and done, I feel really good about it.
If people were to dig into your influences and things, you grew up on pop punk, right? You're a Warped Tour kid.
Yeah, absolutely. I've never actually been to Warped Tour, but I would consider myself a Warped Tour kid. Yes.
Who were some of the bands that were like your favorites at the time growing up?
Good Charlotte was probably my favorite band growing up. I'm obsessed, I think. I mean, I grew up on like a lot of MCR, A Day to Remember, August Burns Red, Enter Shikari, like a lot of stuff. There's the kind of list is endless.
How did you not go to Warped Tour as a kid?
I feel like maybe my parents didn't let me. I don't actually know. It's kind of weird to think that I didn't.
Yeah.
Um, I was a busy kid though. I was a dancer, so I was always like in dance and theater and like I didn't have a ton of free time. You know? I was always kind of doing this.
Well, that is curious. So glad you brought it up. How does a ballerina, a classically trained ballerina, get into pop punk and now, all tatted up and pink hair?
It first usually starts with some sort of injury. So when I was a teenager, I shattered both my heel plates
Ooh.
and I couldn't dance anymore. And I got a guitar for Christmas, and the rest is kind of history from there, I guess.
So then you never heal. It's not you can't do a pirouette or anything anymore.
I could. I recently sprained my ankle in a mosh pit, so probably not today. But 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 yeah, I think I mean it's fun. I like when I do my live shows, I try to incorporate some elements of dance always because it's definitely my background and it's fun to dive in there.
Well, hey, congrats on this EP. Like I said, awesome material on there. Can't wait to see you on tour when things are finally getting scheduled and things, and look forward to what you have coming up.
Thank you so much. This has been such a pleasure.